Hey JD, what's up?
Hey,
How do you feel after Fast 9?
I feel I feel good. I feel alive. I feel somehow closer to my family. Yeah.
Funny you should mention that. So you know how the other day Vin Diesel was like taking credit for The Rock's performance as Hobbs?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
So I was thinking about family, and I think I can take credit for your family.
Oh, okay.
I had a baby first, 2018,
Yes.
and then I think you got sort of, I'm not going to say jealous, but we could say, similar to the way The Rock and Vin Diesel agreed that they didn't want to be beat up too much. You were like, I have to have a kid as well. So when you had your kid, that was because of me. And so I think I think legally I am your kid's parent.
What?
I am the dad. I'm the dad.
What are you What are you talking about?
What do you mean, what am I talking about?
What do you mean? What do I mean? What do I mean talking about?
It makes perfect sense.
I guess you're right.
That very elaborate, non-funny joke has revealed that we're back in studio.
What a way to do it.
Look,
It's perfect.
if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it medium. We don't go big here. We go medium.
Well, yeah, some would say that we've always been small,
Yeah, but
but this is us going big.
Yeah.
I love this franchise.
Yeah.
And like not in a like I love Lord of the Rings. I love Star
Yeah.
Wars. Like I just really enjoy how these movies make me feel. They're nostalgic a little bit, and they remind me of a simpler time.
20 years ago, it's
Yeah.
hard to think that 20 years ago that this was the start of the franchise. But now they have to compete with Marvel movies and Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So they do more Tom Cruise things in this movie than I've seen in any of the other movies.
Yeah.
So the plot
Yes.
of this is really, really simple, actually. So Dom's brother Jacob, played by John Cena, shows up and he wants to get some weird item that basically gives him access to all of the weapons in the world. It uses the internet to access everything.
Yeah.
And so he can be like the omnipotent ruler, which on the surface of how the story is told, because it's told in flashbacks and we learn about his brother and his dad's death and all that,
Yeah.
it seems like quite a stretch to get there.
Yes, and really, he's not even doing it for himself. He is pretty much like the Bond like side villain a little bit. But it's like if you took Jaws, the Bond villain, not the movie,
Yeah.
and you said he's the real bad guy.
Everybody's back. You literally can't talk about this movie without spoiling it.
Yeah,
So we're just gonna go right in.
jump right in. Thank you.
There's a lot of crazy parts here.
You know what? First, initial
Yeah.
thoughts. What are your
Okay.
Initial
My initial
reaction.
thoughts are, it's not as great as say like 5 or 6,
Yeah.
because I've seen most of those movies. There's something with The Rock and Paul Walker that just like ties these movies together,
Yes.
and without either of them in it, and same with Jason Statham too.
Yeah.
It's like without those three guys, it doesn't really feel like the same type of movie. Anytime Tej and Roman show up, they're just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And then
And they were Paul Walker kind of.
yeah.
They were Paul Walker's family.
Yeah.
That kind of get brought over and.
So there is like a disconnect in the family, it seems.
Yeah.
Like Dom only wants to interact with certain people. And so it kind of loses that heart of the family
Yes.
thing. The flashbacks help a little bit,
Yeah,
but
7 felt it became very Paul Walker, like, this is us saying goodbye, not really saying goodbye, but saying goodbye to the character.
Yeah.
And then 8 feels so, like, there's no heart to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because also, like, Han has died in this
Yeah.
part as well. But then, like, I did feel, a little, like, while that's still missing, and The Rock is also missing, and you're like, the fun of that isn't there anymore.
yeah.
Bringing back Han, I think, like, saves it a little bit because I like this one a lot more than I like the last one.
It is more fun.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's more Mission Impossible than the
Yeah.
last movie.
While they also though they took this opportunity because this is the first one Justin Lin's done since 6 to really explain some stuff. Not explain a ton, but just say like, hey, we know this is crazy. How are these dudes super spies? oh, don't worry. You find out exactly why.
Yeah, I mean, they go into some meta commentary
Yeah.
about how they can survive, no scars whatsoever. Like Tyrese Gibson as Roman is just like the best part to me. Like I know he got made fun of by The Rock a bunch, and they have like their feud, but his character is perfect.
Yeah.
It's like he is the Wile E. Coyote of this group.
But also, he's us as well.
He's like, how are you guys doing this, Han? How did this work? How did you come back?
Yeah.
He's like basically asking the questions for the exposition dumps. Crazy that a Fast and Furious movie would need an exposition dump, and yet we get them. And then all of a sudden, Tej and Roman go to space, and you're like, they did it. They finally did it.
Low orbit.
People were like, that's how they're gonna end. No, they got 2 more movies after this.
Is it a perfect movie?
No.
Absolutely not. There are parts in this where I get annoyed very much by Tyrese.
Yeah.
Like while he is like us, it's also annoying sometimes to be like, isn't this crazy? We're going to space now. And you're like, yeah, man. Like,
I know.
we know. Vin Diesel just feels so separate, but also it feels though like he's still very much like, this is my franchise.
Mm-hmm.
This is my superhero movie. This is my cinematic universe.
Yeah.
And there is a moment in this, like the space I believed, the insanity of a massive truck just skirting through the desert for like miles.
Sure.
And like Vin Diesel running through and like flipping that. I was totally on board. But there is like a good 3 minutes of this movie where he straight up murders some dudes.
Oh yeah.
And like superhero, like hulks out and then almost drowns and spends 3 minutes in like a weird memory flashback.
If you don't know what's happening and you're watching this because you just want to get a preview, what happens is they're trying to escape from John Cena's like soldier crew.
Yeah.
And so they're running away. Dom turns around and sees like there's this crew following them. So he closes the door. I don't even know what it is. They're in like a silo or something. And so he jumps down and he fights a bunch of dudes, kills about 10 guys in a row, just like straight up murders them.
Breaks a dude's back pretty much.
He's a serial killer just in this one scene. And so he is fighting all of them off. There's a point where it's like wrestling. It's like they're all holding him back, but he sees Letty.
Family, yeah.
He sees Letty and family, and he's like, no. And he just like kicks them off, kills a couple more, and then he, with his bare hands, grabs these huge chains and just pulls the silo down.
Samson style, like, just destroys the silo.
And one, impossible.
Well, yeah.
Not even Arnold Schwarzenegger could pull it down.
No.
Not even Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, could pull it down.
No.
But Dom can. And then he goes into the craziest. It's cool to me, like to see it in a Fast and Furious franchise, to see like this very artistic, like moment of, and I really loved it. It's out of place for sure, but he goes through like this flashback sequence, because he's dying, and so he goes back through these moments in his life and realizes that he can forgive his brother for helping his dad try to throw the race, which he always believed that his brother had actually killed his dad because he had some hairline fracture and some engine thing.
And you think they're going to rewrite some history with some of them, and I really honestly thought, I was like, this is going to be the worst parts of the movie. Like, I really thought, let's go ahead and knock this out. But honestly, it's like the best part of the movie to me.
It's good.
Like seeing like a young Dom and a young Jacob and like Michael Rooker is in this movie. No one told us.
And there's so much more that we're not mentioning or not going to mention because you just have to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's so many crazy moments. It's a 2 hour and 25 minute movie, but it really felt like it could be 2 movies.
It was 2:20, but it goes. Like they jump right in. They just hit. There's never like and I think that's a Justin Lin thing, like him coming back, him cutting the fat and just being like, all right, let's make this lean. Let's make it let's make it fast. Let's make it furious.
Nailed it.
Another great part of this movie, it actually has a ton of car stuff in it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice change of pace from what we've had recently.
If we're gonna rate this, we gotta rate it out of 10. Like when you're turning up the magnets, because like how do magnets work? You just turn them up to 10. So we're gonna rate it out of 10 magnets.
Okay. As a movie, as like a story,
yeah,
it's got some holes. it's not really all there as a story and a piece of storytelling art. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. As a blockbuster entertainment, just like giant speakers going off and nos hitting everywhere. It's like this movie for me was like an 8 out of 10. I mean, yeah. So I guess average, probably like a 6 or 7. If you put them together. But
I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's perfectly fine.
Yes,
it's like it's fun. It's got some nice, heartwarming moments.
Yeah, listen. This is, of course, it's not going to end.
You've prepared notes.
It's not going to, like, this franchise, the saga will end. But just like Star Wars, maybe even just like the MCU, we're going to have maybe some TV shows, some spin-off movies.
Yeah.
I want to picture a few. What about a real Tokyo Drift sequel? We have Han, we have, Lucas Black, Twinkie, the other guy. It's like they just go back to Tokyo and we get a proper Tokyo Drift sequel. You in? You out?
I'm out.
Wow. What about a Tokyo Drift team in the Hobbs and Shaw sequel?
Yes, because the Hobbs and Shaw stuff is insane.
A Charlie's Angels-esque movie or TV show that it's your main 3 female stars. Jordana Brewster, it's Ramsey, it's Letty. It's those that core team, but Charlie, played by Helen Mirren, and Tyrese and Ludacris are the Bosley characters.
Does that mean Cardi B's also going to be in this?
I think you put Cardi B in the Hobbs and Shaw, the next Hobbs and Shaw movie.
But she's connected to Helen Mirren's character, Queenie.
Gosh, you're right. But she's also connected to Hobbs and Shaw.
You know what? Let's do it. Put him in the Hobbs and Shaw sequel.
There we go. Now, final one, and I think you're gonna love this one. I think we need. I go more series.
Yeah.
Furious Babies, but it's think Muppet Babies, but it's Dom's crew after the flashback.
So we're gonna say no on that one.
I
thought you were talking about like Baby Geniuses style, the kid, like Dom's kid and any other kids.
Brian's kid, yeah.
Oh, they have a kid. I didn't see him at the end of the movie. Like our sign says, we're Quarter Mile Buds. We're renaming the channel to Quarter Mile Buds. We live our life a half a mile at a time.
We take things a little slower.
A little slower.
Wait, a little faster.
Whatever's the slowest, that's what we do. I live my life sitting in the chair at home.
Perfect. I live my life in the car, in park.
Listening to
in neutral, where it just kind of, I let it just kind of...
Let it roll down the hill. As I'm listening to an NPR podcast. Actually, I'm listening to Car Talk. Rest in peace. Because that was the greatest NPR podcast. This is where we're ending the video, talking about a podcast.
Un esercito di prodi la